What up, gamers? Welcome back to another episode of Posting Weekly Until I Go Viral. And as you can hear, or not, you might be deaf watching this, which, if that's the case, I suggest finding a different video since automatically generated subtitles are a bit, scuffed. Anyway, your boy got a mic. Before, I was just recording my voice with my iPhone, but now I'm recording in a small miniature studio, so all the bullshit that goes on in my life goes unheard, just the way I like. Now, what have I been up to? Well, this week I've been blessed with a glorious one extra day off thanks to the erection. I've been blessed with a glorious one extra day off due to the election, in which, let's be honest, no one really won, but I did. I sure did. Because in that day, I was steady grinding, I wanted to come up with something the player could attack and be attacked by, so I came up with a stationary enemy that swing one of four ways randomly. And this is just a copy of the player with different logic and collision signals, but it works. The player can get hit, but in order for this to actually be an enemy, we'll need to implement HP into the lady and also make her look a little different because this is looking like the end of Detroit Become Human.
I used to be just like you. I thought nothing mattered except the mission. But then one day I understood. Very moving, Connor. But I'm not a deviant. I'm a machine designed to accomplish a task, and that's exactly what I am going to do. Enough talk! It's time to decide who you really are. Are you going to save your partner's life? Or are you going to sacrifice him?
Oh no, niggas.
So using the UI feature in Godot was wildly confusing to me at first, but it really just consisted of having a UI element, adding the reference to that element within a script, and creating an update function for that value. The video I looked at for some reason told me to put the update function in the level script itself, but at that point, I didn't even know what a level script was. I didn't choose that in my skill tree, and I did try to do that and it didn't even work, so thanks for that, Godot community. Really appreciate it. All I had to do was get a reference to the UI within the player and call the update value methods, which I have put the HP bar over the enemy's head using, I don't know, I forgot. And now, if we hit the bitch, the HP goes down and we can see it. And guess what happens when its HP reaches 0? While I was at it, I eventually became pissed off at myself for not understanding the logic, so I made myself a block function. The player has to hold down the button in order to block, but in order for it to actually affect the damage being done to the player, I had to alter the damage collision to make sure the player was blocking, and if the player was blocking, it'd get the weapon template that's applied to the player and use the blocking multiplier that's inside the weapon template script to determine how much damage it'll block. Now, more recently, matter of fact, yesterday, it was another challenge, the backstep, finally fixing the godforsaken backstep. The whole problem with this was that there was no way to get an object's forward vector in Godot. It was called something else. And let me tell you, I had to do a giant deep dive over the internet just to try and find out what it was called. And eventually, I just started trying random shit. And tell me why trying random shit actually made me go further than anything these sources could have possibly have done for me. This single line of code was all my days of trying to figure this out amounted to, basically. I love being a game developer. And now it's time for one more thing that I wanted to add to make this week truly somewhat eventful. So I decided to tackle some stamina functionality, which is a different monster altogether because stamina, as seen in the various Dark Souls sort of games, you can easily see that, even though the stamina looks like it's not doing much, it really isn't. I mean, it drains whenever you attack, and then it takes a few seconds for it to begin regaining. And yeah, it is simple, but regarding the deep code of it, it was pretty hard to figure out. I made sure to have a stamina regen function as well as a take away function, and update stamina through UI function as well to check to make sure the stamina wasn't going too low or too high. So far, I've somewhat imitated how the stamina system for Elden Ring works, with there's a delay before it regains, and if you're out of stamina, it takes longer to regenerate. So far, it doesn't stop you from attacking yet, as well as freezing up on in certain places. I'm not sure why, but I'll fix that next time, most definitely. I'm not going to go too in depth into this whole stamina thing because, to be honest, the stamina thing was wildly complicated. Either it was wildly complicated or I was just making it appear that way. That just about wraps it up for this week. So I'll see you next week. And some of the things I'm looking to tackle is getting a different enemy AI that actually chases the player, as well as figuring out a certain lock on feature might be good to have because, every single Dark Souls game has a lock on feature. So if you don't have a lock on feature, you're going to be hitting air most of the time. But yeah, catch you later.